Hello from Farland. Well, after I relaxed for a while, I decided it was time to get started back on the layout. So, I've been working with the realistic water. And the water effects. Water waves. I tried the murky tint, didn't care for it. It's not, I was hoped for a browner look. Maybe I didn't shake it enough. It came out sort of a very light tan. I might try it again. And I've been using the moss green. So you can only put 8 ounces, or you can only put 8 drops of the tint in an ounce of the realistic water. Actually, you can use this tint in a variety of different woodland scenics waters. But I think this is going to be the last coat or lift of realistic water in my pond. And that mark represents 2 ounces. So I'll fill it up to the 2-ounce mark with the realistic water. Put that away. And then I have to drip, try to count these. Sometimes, you know, it's hard to count them. Oops, that was 9, wasn't it? And that was the moss green. The moss green tint. And I didn't shake it up. I'm bad about that. Now I have moss green all over my fingers. Oh well. I'll get my little measuring or my little mixing stick here. And I found it's more interesting if it's not mixed up too thoroughly. Then it leaves kind of streaks and things which are interesting. Solid colors are never that interesting. I use the water effects to move this to make it sure it's in focus. I use the water effects to make the waterfall, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. That's the danger of using all this stuff along with expensive camera equipment, like plaster and things of that nature. So we're going to move over to the pond now, and I'll show you what's going on over there. While we're at it, I got to show you my nifty new apron. I've ruined a lot of clothes working on Farland, so I thought I'd get myself an apron. It's a shop apron, $12 I think, that I can wear while I'm down here working and perhaps save some clothing, because I have ruined a lot of clothes down here. Well, I mean, they're not ruined, I could never wear them anywhere. And also, let me show you one other thing. It took what seemed like forever, but I finally got my all the stations t-shirt. Cool, huh? I can't wait to wear that in inclement weather. It's a little inclement outside right now, being winter. Here we are looking at the pond, and it usually takes 2 batches to completely cover the pond. So I'll make up another batch and I'll be right back. Okay, here is batch 2. Now I'll do it with my other hand. Says to use a craft stick. I don't have a craft stick, but you need to sort of tease it to get all the way. It has a high surface tension, so you sort of need to encourage it to go all the way out to the edges. Well, that's about it. I could probably get another lift in over here without going over, but I'm afraid that I might drown the dock, which I suppose would be all right. There might be some circumstances where a drowned dock would be appropriate. But this part right here, of course, will be covered with this bridge. So you won't be able to see that. Let's go over to the other side and I will show you the waterfall itself and see how that came out. So that's the way it looks from this side. I haven't mounted the bridge permanently yet, so it's a little off kilter. But there's the water coming over the edge. It looks better on camera than it does in person. I still have some work to do with it, but it's coming along. Let's look down inside the gorge here. Once again, it does look better. Some of that white down there is just not set up yet. That's water waves. But, you know, it's coming along. The white is all acrylic paint that I put over the top of the water products. And the way you make the waterfall is to get a sheet of freezer paper or waxed paper and squirt that stuff out in a line. And I discovered it smearing it back and forth gives you a better surface, a rougher surface. So there's a little bit leaking off on this side, but the main water is coming over there. There's the pond. And there will be lots of grasses and trees and things around the pond and all the way up to here. And I'm going to increase the level of foliage on the sides of the cliff. And along the sides of the waterfall, because they would be nurtured even in the dry season by the waterfall itself. So, not too bad. Not quite as good as I had hoped, but really, maybe in some ways, better than I expected. So, more news. I'm going to have to move the camera again, so I'll be right back. So the home signal is here, but the actual sensor is right there, right here, on the crossover. Now this, for the freight line, this signal has its sensor here, but I would like to move that to this location. But to do that, I'm going to have to lengthen these pre-made cables that this sensor came with. And I plan to do that later today sometime. Or maybe tomorrow, or whenever I get to it. So that is what's going on. Now this signal here, in order to protect the freight line if you were coming the other way, you would have to go all the way back to House Street and have a light back there. And running wires with 12 volts in them all the way back there is not practical. So there won't be a distant signal for this guy. Well, not this one, but the sensor would have to be here, you see, but the light would have to be way over at House Street. And that's a long ways from here. That's like 50 feet of cable from here. So it's not really practical, and I'm not going to do it. It's not going to be protected from the other side. Oh, I might put a signal up somewhere there over at House Street, but it won't be connected here. So this is the distance signal for the home that I just showed you, the 4H signal over there. Because I didn't have any place to put it, I couldn't put it here because that would be too close to the track. And I couldn't put it fully here because it would be too low. So what I did do is I took a straw and I drilled through all the way to the bottom of the table. And around that straw, I glued wood. Then I sanded the wood off until it was fairly round. and I painted the wood as though it was concrete, capped it, and put the signal there. I think it looks pretty cool. So when a train crosses on the crossover, it trips that, turns that yellow, and the one over there at the junction turns red. There's a 15-second delay between changing back to green. And I'll show you where the sensor is, but I gotta move you again. Be right back. So the home signal is here, but the actual sensor is right there. Right here. On the crossover. Okay, well, that's about it for today. And I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye from Farland.